Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show that I do on Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, in which I provide you with the download of all the content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. And then we also talk about some news and current events. And I will tell you that there is at least one big item that we are going to talk about in this show, and it has to do with potentially a little betrayal or breach of trust. You guys will ultimately be the judges of this once I lay out the case here as best I can. And I will probably go live immediately after this show for Patreon to talk about some additional things that are on my mind. So if you are a member of Patreon, look for a link to be posted when this show wraps up. And if you guys want to join me for that, we'll probably do 15-20 minutes or something like that following tonight's show. I am trying to get used to the new interface. Every time I log into the platform these days, the StreamYard platform these days, there is something afoot. There is something that has changed, that has been moved, that has been upgraded or tweaked, and they made some changes here that I'm trying to get used to. If you guys are streamers, if you're YouTubers out there, check out StreamYard. There is a link, or should be a link, in the description of this video. Check that out. I want to give a shout out to all the Gibbon Gang members and the Comic Book Swoldiers that are hanging out with me tonight. If this is your first time in a live stream, go ahead and just say first, let folks know here that you're the first time live stream viewer. That way we can welcome you properly. Let me give a few shout outs here. I see Toadman X. That is not, where that name got away from me. That is not a name that I recognize. So shout out to you, Toadman. Thank you for spelling the name correct. My man Brandon is in here. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Tough Book is in the house. That mountain air smells mighty good. Squirrel Madness is in the house. One of the OGs, the OG Blue Wrench, is in here. How you doing? Double G, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. My man Doug, is always good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. Man, I'm gonna tell you, brother, I had a fantastic weekend. I didn't really set foot in the comic books room this weekend. I was down in the garage hunting. However, I was hunting, but I did not spend a lot of time in this room, man. It was great to just get away for a little bit. The Genuine Article is in the house. Philtastic is in here. Ronnie Bay Comics. First time to catch you live. Oh my goodness. Ronnie, welcome to the live stream. This is your live stream. I tell people all the time, everybody gets one video a year. Ronnie, this one is yours. It's for you, Ronnie. All right. Let me scroll. Marcus is Muse. How you doing? It's good to see you. Matt Woods is in here. My man Joe. How you doing, brother? Kurt is in here. Tony Trebetta. EGS Comics in the house. It's good to see you. Super JTW Comics is in the house, looking a lot like my man Stan Lee. Andrea, how you doing? It's good to see you. Hello from Vegas. Andrea, it's good to see you, my friend. Nice heels. Chuck is in the house. Sinbad Comics is in here. Catherine Gomez is in the house. Catherine, it's good to see you. Sky Allen. Oh, that name got away from me. Wow. Sky Allen, welcome. I think Crypt Keeper. We'll do a couple more. My man Marvel Joe, it's good to see you, brother. It's been a month of Sundays, my friend. The Paradise is in the house. It's good to see you, my friend. There appear to be a pretty high ratio of women tonight. I don't know what's going on. Something's in the air. Maybe it's the mountain air. Maybe the mountain air is bringing all of the ladies to the yard. It's good to see you. Milt is in here. How you doing, brother? All right, so let me give you guys a quick update on some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel, and then we're going to get into our first topic. And again, you guys will be the judge. You guys will be the judge as to whether this is a breach of trust. I'm going to play reporter and not pundit, and I'm going to provide you with the information that I know, and then you guys will be the judge of this thing. But there is some good content, I think, that is coming out from the channel this week. We are going to do a spec video. We are going to do a spec video on some comics that are not found in Key Collector app. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of Key Collector app. Huge fan of Key. I was using it all this weekend. I'm flipping through long boxes and my shorts over here, and I have Key Collector app on the other side, occasionally having to run across the room to plug it in so I can keep it charged up. But I was hunting in the collection. So I use Key Collector app a lot. Huge fan. My man Doug and I partnered up. We did a video in which we identified 3 comics that are potential spec comics that are not found in Key Collector app. And I've been hesitant to do these types of videos, but Doug convinced me. He also did all the work. So it was great. It was an easy thing for me to do, but that video is going to be coming out this week. We're also going to do a video on getting out of comics. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. I'm just going to say getting out of comics. Stay tuned for the video. And then the last pre-recorded video that we're going to release this week is a video on the best $2,000 that I've ever spent. You guys know I don't spend a lot of time talking about money, but I will tell you that the money that I spent, the $2,000 that I spent, this is some of the best money that I've ever spent. And so that video is going to be coming out this week. And then, of course, we're going to be doing Comics Today. That is on Wednesday at 7 Eastern Standard Time, PM, of course. Definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for that. We may actually continue tonight's topic on Wednesday. We'll see how frisky I'm feeling about the topic. We may continue it. But in addition to the live stream and the pre-recorded videos, we're also going to be releasing a blog post on Wednesday from my man Doug. And then we're also going to be releasing on Monday a podcast. And that way you can actually take some Regie on the go as you go about your daily activities. And that'll be coming out on Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you guys have been downloading the podcast like nobody's business. Like there is well over, I want to say well over like 120 on average downloads of every podcast that we release, which I think is fantastic. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to listen to me on the go as you're making your rounds over the course of the week. So that'll be coming out, and it is available. The podcast is available on all platforms. All platforms. You search for Regie Collects, you should be able to find me. Regie spent $2,000 of all the Turoks in the world. I was hunting for comics earlier today. And I saw a post, and the post basically said, I know what I have. If you can't spend a few thousand to make a few million, I don't know what to tell you. That was basically my man's blog. That was basically his advertisement for the collection that he inherited that he was attempting to sell. And I bring it up because there may have been a Turok in that photo. But it said, if you can't spend a few thousand to make a few million, I don't know what to tell you. He was asking $9,000. And I can tell you for a fact that that collection was not worth $9,000, but somebody might catch that brick. If you don't get the brick thing, you missed the video this week. Joey the Stuntmaster, don't tell my wife about me getting, brother. Child, I will never utter those words in the presence of someone's wife. Okay, I would not do you dirty like that, my friend. But they probably want to ask about your exit strategy. My man Ken is asking about, brother. Hey, Ken, I have Dark Hawks like nobody's business. Okay, I have 3 of them 9.8s for sale right now on RegieCollects.com. Don't sleep on that 90s goodness, my friend. That's all that I'm saying. You didn't get my yeah. I don't know about that. Needs to be updated. I don't know about that. I can't really speak to that. I would definitely encourage you to reach out to my man Nick. Nick is I think, by and large, they're pretty receptive to a lot of things. So feel free to reach out to Nick. I don't know anything about the updates. I love the platform. I love Key Collector app. Never get it twisted that I do. All right. So earlier this week, we spent some time talking about a comic that was going to be coming out, The Trial of Magneto. We specifically spoke about the wonderful variant that is coming out from IG Comic Store. I have been a fan of IG Comic Store for several years. Wonderful comics that they put out. Just the creativity that goes into the variants that they release it is unmatched. The quality of what you get, the comic shows up, it looks like a 9.8, you send it in, and oftentimes it actually comes back at a 9.8. I absolutely love IG Comic Store, okay? I'm going to tell you that for a fact. I woke up this morning, I rolled over at 6:30 this morning. I woke up a little late. Woke up at 6:30 this morning. I checked my phone like I always do. I checked my phone on the way to turn on the coffee pot, and I received a message from somebody that gave me pause. It gave me pause halfway between my bedroom and the coffee pot, and I stood there pretty much in the dark reading this message, and it did not make me feel good. I will be completely honest about that. And it did not make me feel good because just a few days ago, I spent a lot of time talking about the variant that was coming out from IG Comic Store, limited to, and I'm looking at my notes, 600 copies worldwide. This book was going to be going on sale August 13th, right? So I went on, I talked about this variant because I love IG Comic Store, the quality of what they put out. And then I received a message that stopped me in my tracks. And again, I am not going to really play commentator on this thing, but I will be a reporter. I will be a reporter, and there's several reasons for that. All right. So this is the message that I actually received. I actually received a screenshot of this right here from someone, and it basically says, I started IGC in 2015 and built this company from the ground up. Besides the countless trends I created that all took root, one of the main attributes I established with customers worldwide is trust. That trust was built through thousands of transactions and thousands of my own actions that prove that I genuinely had and still have my customers' best intentions at hand. I think it's maybe best interest at hand. That's maybe what I'm reading into that. In December 2020, I decided, not me, I did not decide. The owner at the time decided to sell IGC and put it in trusted hands so that I could move on to the next chapter of my entrepreneurial journey, which most know and some don't. I sold IGC to someone. I stayed on to help him hit the ground running to ensure that he would win here. And in the process, we both realized that me being involved was crucial to this business. After that said, I regret to inform everyone that I am no longer affiliated with IGC. Effectively, immediately, I've learned of some actions that have been taking place here that I cannot comply and go along with. And as a result, I can no longer affiliate myself with the company that I built. This is where I draw the line. And I should have put this together sooner. Goes on to say, but with so many moving parts involved, it wasn't something I was focused on. The pics that I have attached, the screenshots of emails I was sending my graphic designer for the COA. So a certificate of authenticity is essentially what is being described here. The images circles someone else telling him the quantities to order. Look at those quantities. They do not match what was supposed to be offered. So basically, in a nutshell, what is happening here is that guidance was being provided to a graphic designer for the number and content to be put on a certificate of authenticity. That number was then being changed by another party after the fact. And so I mentioned earlier this week, and I mentioned a few moments ago, that this comic that we were talking about, the Trial of Magneto issue number 1, was going to be limited to 600 copies worldwide. And I think that that's important, right? It is important that we remember that number. And then what we are hearing is that some numbers are being changed, and there's a little bit of evidence that is actually being provided. And as you scroll down here, what you can actually see is an email. Let me make sure you guys can see that. There is an email here that basically says, here's the content that is supposed to go on the COA. And you can see there's the title here. It really focuses on the Moon Knight issue number 2, the cover, 600 copies worldwide, a little bit of descriptive text, rated teen because it's gritty, and then a little bit of extra content, right? That is basically the guidance that was given to the graphic designer that was working on the certificates of authenticity that are bundled with the copies of the comics that are mailed out to customers. This next email, this next message is what is actually then revised. What we see here is that the COA version is now increased from 600 to 700. The COA trade has increased to 1,000, may have to order more in the future. That is basically the note. And you can see again, it's basically associated with the Moon Knight book. Now, here's the rub. When you go to the website, for igcomicstore.com, what you see on the website is basically 600. You see the original number. So people bought that comic and it sold out under the impression that it was limited to 600 copies worldwide. Now, what's important here is not how many was ordered, it is how many are actually going to be sold. And if you read it on the website, it basically says like hand selected. And the reason for that is when you order comics, a lot of the comics that are ordered actually show up damaged. And I know this for a fact after having done 2 variants so far, waiting for a third to come in. And I know that there's going to be a lot of damage, right? So what they typically do at IG Comic Store is they get the variants in, they pick the copies that can probably come back at a 9.8. They send a lot of those off to CGC to be graded at a 9.8. They send the others out to customers. They do not sell like an 8.0 or a 9.0 like a comic shop would. A comic shop sells the inventory unless it's really jacked up. You know what I'm saying? But IG has a high standard. And that's part of the reason why I dig them. So what we see is that on the website, 600. The order went in for the COA, 600. The number was then revised after the fact, but the website had not been updated. So people bought this thing, assuming a certain number, that number was changed. I don't know how that sits with people. So let me pause there for a second to see whether what I am describing here actually makes sense. Francis, well, let's start at the top. So shaking my head. We've got a wow. We've got Jeremy's head just blew off. I mean, it just blew off. Francis. Well, we have a couple of comments here. So B Francis, yep, trust has been breached, false marketing and manipulation of the market. Airspace says being that I bought one of these issues and the same info received, I hear with my ears wide open. Scrolling through, that's what I was thinking. Was it an error on the side of caution of over ordering? I don't know. But wait a minute, but only 600 sold, but more ordered in case. So here's the thing. If and again, I may be a little bit off on the comments. So let's say that they said, so typically they're going to order, and I'm reading into this, maybe 1,000. Only 600 are going to be sold. That's what people are buying under the impression. If the COA says a different number, technically they're going to sell up to that number. You know what I'm saying? So if the COA says 700, or in this case, let me make sure. Yeah. So if they order 1,000, they advertise 600, the COA says 700, they theoretically can sell 700. But the problem, of course, is that people bought in at the 6. They bought in at the 6, not at the 7, right? So that I think that's part of the challenge. Neo is one of those people that actually reached out to me earlier today. He watched the video from earlier this week. He sent me a message earlier today and was like, I can't remember, my phone's across the room here, but I think it was like, that's a dope cover. When is that going to be released? I think that was the gist of the comment. And I was like, stay tuned for the video tonight. That was essentially what I said to Rob. So what is this? So 100 extra books because they had diamond shipping. So again, they may have ordered 1,000. They advertised that they were going to sell 6, and they changed the COA to say 7. Is that a breach of trust? You guys decide, right? If you bought a book if you bought it under the premise that it was going to be 6, does that affect you now that you know that it's a little bit higher? I don't know. It depends upon why people decided to buy the comic, right? Let's be completely clear. The artwork on the comic is incredible. It is incredible. The comic, the read is actually pretty good. I read it because somebody kept asking me questions about it. I was like, let me go read this thing. I went and read it, then I bought it, right? And it was pretty good. So did people buy it because of the limited quantity? Did they buy it for the story? Did they buy it for the speculation? Did they buy it for the cover? I don't know, right? But you have one person that is affiliated with this company that is now walking away from this company as a result of this. So the question is it a big deal or not? Again, these are things for you guys to kind of decide. So if you guys are coming in a little bit late, basically what we are talking about is potentially a breach of trust. And I'm doing this because I talked about this company earlier this week. Something hit me this morning in my DMs, and then I had to follow up on it. And so I have to talk about it, right? So here's what I did. Let me go to the next example real quick. Let me share my screen with you guys one more time. Add to stream. All right, so that was in there. So this is the one for the Moon Knight, and I think the number only increased by 100 or something like that. And then at the top of this one, if you guys can see that at the very top, what's circled, it basically says that not only was the Moon Knight number changed, but the Marvels issue number 1 was also changed. And I think this one was limited to 700. It was then increased to 850. Star Wars, I want to say was like 800, and I'm doing this off of memory. I think it was limited to like 800. This one has actually been increased to 1,100 copies of the comic. So what I ended up doing after I got these screenshots, I reached out to the parties that are associated with this, right? Because I'm like, I spoke about this. I want to understand. So I sent a couple of messages and I got some responses back from one party, the party that put up the post. The first message was basically like, is this real? Is this legit? The response was yes. Or I think it was actually yup. That was the response at like 6:30. Maybe closer to 7:30. That was the response. Cool. Reach out to the other party, and then I get a response. And basically, the response that I received was the explanation was that the COAs take time to come in, and instead of running out of COAs, they wanted to make sure that they had enough COAs on hand so that they could fulfill customer demand. So they increased the quantity of the COAs in order to ensure that if the COAs were damaged, they had enough to fulfill orders. The other comment that was made was that they never hit the print run. And I don't think that they hit the print run because of the high standard that I mentioned earlier today, right? So if you order 1,000, you say you're going to sell 6, you're going to sell 6, right? But you're never going to hit the 1,000 because a lot of those get thrown away. But the argument was that they wanted to make sure that they had enough COAs on hand to be able to fulfill customer orders and prevent customers from having to wait, because I think they said it takes potentially 3 weeks or 4 weeks for the revised COAs to actually come in before orders can be completed, and they didn't want to make people wait. So that is basically the explanation that I received via message earlier today. And again, I pass that on to you guys for your consideration. All right. So I'm scrolling through the comments here. Making sure. Philtastic may have made a good point. I don't see it, but I'm scrolling through and maybe I'll touch on it. Philtastic is making a point here. So let's read this one. It says, yeah, if you advertise one number but sell more, then it's fraud. If they are trashing the extras, that is a different story. And I will tell you that historically, I do believe that the extras were trashed, or and I can tell you for a fact what happens, at least in the orders that I've placed. I would get reader copies, and I actually learned how to do a lot of this stuff from IG Comic Store, from Brent, right? You rip the cover off, and I typically write reader copy and send it off to people. That's what I do with those copies that are damaged, where I don't want to actually sell them or don't feel like it's right to actually sell them. Matt Wood says, I have quite a few Dynamic Forces books in the collection with COAs. I always like knowing I had a rare comic. It would be not good for me to find out it was just marketing and basically a lie, says Matt Woods. Scorpion is notorious for these shenanigans. I've heard about that. Let me see. Ken is bringing up market manipulation. Ron says the phrase hand selected does beg certain questions, though. Hand selected from what? Presumably a larger number than 600. Yes. The way that you should think about this, And I actually do this. I actually do this myself, right? Where if I say I'm only selling 500, rest assured that I'm not selling every single copy that was actually ordered, right? Because well, let me rethink that. No, I typically tell you what the print run was, knowing that I'm going to sell under that. So I do it a little bit differently, right? So if I think my last variant that I did, I ordered 500. I am not going to be able to sell all 500 because I will tell you for a fact that a healthy number of them will be damaged. So the number will be smaller than that. How small? I don't know. Right. So what I think they historically have done is they will say it will be hand selected to 600. You know that the print run is going to be larger, but you assume and you trust that they will only sell up to 600. Maybe that is bad for us. Maybe that is bad for us to actually do it. But here's the thing. This is something that I've spoken about this repeatedly. Why don't we know the print runs for comics? Just generally, think about it. We know from Comic Con, the number of comics that are sold with all kinds of caveats. North America, US sales, sometimes you got to take a grain of salt, like you got to stand on your ear to get the number, right? But we know how many comics are sold roughly. We never know how many comics are printed. And the question is, why not? Why don't we know how many comics are printed? Rest assured that if someone is sending an invoice and and they're setting up a PO, they know exactly how many copies of a comic are actually printed because someone is paying for that. Why don't we know actual print runs? Why does the industry not disclose exactly how many copies of a comic are printed? That way we actually know the ceiling. What we know is how many are sold with grains of salt. We know how many are graded with grains of salt because again, lots of grading companies, not all grading companies are public, but we don't know what the true pie is. And that's potentially a problem. That is potentially a problem right there. And maybe this is something that we'll talk about again. Maybe we'll have some people come on to kind of talk about this. And I will tell you, I actually was trying to do this as like a secret project. My thing was if I can solve the problem of how many comics are actually printed, how awesome that would be for the industry. I was trying to be like the next key collector app. It didn't work out. Let me scroll to the comments here real quick. The same reason why trading cards are not told money. He says you can't handle the print runs. That could have a huge influence on the value of comics. Well said, man. I mean, well said. I prefer to know print run over rate. Off white Tim brother, here's the thing. So you're going to give me a ratio of what? 1 to 25. Okay, cool. I know that. But how big is it? How many 25s are there, which tells me how many ones there are? Why don't we know to this point? Why don't we know print runs? Don't give me ratios. Give me print runs. Give me an absolute number, right? Because here's the fear. Do we not know that there's a huge stack of Fantastic Four 48 sitting in a warehouse somewhere, right? Sitting at a printer somewhere near you could be 1,000 copies of like 9.8 Fantastic Four 48. I'm talking the good one, not the recent one, right? But imagine that. Imagine that. Let me see, scrolling through, let me see. I worked a long time as a kid at a local newspaper that printed the paper 3 times a week. Lots of misprints, lots of papers were scrapped because of errors. Well said. Well said. Give me that too. Because again, you have to know, you have to have some idea, even if you don't count the errors. You're hitting a button, a certain number. I mean, you're not hitting a button, but you plug it into the computer, a certain number of prints, right? Give us something, man. Give us some information. That way we don't have to work for it. Key Collector shows print runs for a lot of Spawn books. No, they don't tell you the print runs. What they tell you is how many ordered by retailers, which is sales data. That has to be taken with a grain of salt. No one knows print runs. I've been trying to solve this conundrum for quite a while. I don't think that anyone knows print runs. Jeffrey said, hey, check, bro. If you find the magical Willy Wonka warehouse where all the magical comics are kept, just give me a call, brother. I will be on the next flight headed your way. If you are joining late, we are spending some time talking about some things happening with IG Comic Store, internal workings with COAs and print runs versus what's actually sold versus what's on the COA, et cetera, et cetera. And then we kind of blew it up into a larger conversation as to the lack of transparency that exists in the industry as a whole with print run data. Like, we don't know how many comics are printed. We don't know. And that's terrible. It's terrible that we don't know that, right? I wish that we actually had better data. Print run on exclusives are pretty standard, 3,000 trade, 1K version. That's what Marvel requires. Brent has said this before. That is true. But I think that with this one, you know, I don't know. And I don't, you would have to ask the people, the powers that be. I don't know if somebody would order 3,000 and only sell 600. That's a lot to throw away, right? So I don't know. Their standards, yes, are 3,000, both for Marvel and DC. Does IG Comic Store, because of what they do, get some different? I don't know. I don't know. Do they split the 3,000 between trade and virgin? I don't know. Right. There are some things that I'm not privy to. I have some awareness of what they would say to me as a person that doesn't sell a whole lot. I don't know what other arrangements may have been made, but Teven, thank you for offering that up. I appreciate that, brother. Scrolling through some of the comments here. So a future spec, a comment here. The artist even said he would not be working with IGC anymore. I'm not sure which artist you're referring to, future spec, so you may have to fill me in on that down in the comment section. Brother, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm being super careful with a lot of the things that I'm saying. And again, I am simply reporting on what I know. And then I'm speculating and extrapolating into some larger things. I don't want any trouble from anybody. I am just a simple, humble YouTuber trying to put out some good content. That's all that I'm doing. Almighty Liger King, don't jack me up, brother. Let me see. Surge says, Regie, just like I found almost 2 cases full of Amazing Spider-Man 300 back in the day, and these books were on the floor. The next time you find some comics like that, all you have to do is dial my number, okay, brother? And I will be on the next thing smoking your way. I don't know whether it will be a plane, train, or automobile. I will be on your way. You find something like that. Scrolling through, Chuck says the question of lack of transparency in comics should be referred. I mean, the thing about it, and again, I've said this before, right? We have so much technology that it boggles the mind why there isn't greater transparency out there for something like this, right? And I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers for this stuff. So scrolling through, Almighty Liger King is on a heck of a roll. That cover is sold at other online stores. So who is in control of the actual print run? I ordered my copy from Mutant Beaver, says John. I don't know, brother. I don't know. I don't know. Again, you guys are asking some really great questions here. B. Francis says, if the powers that be want the industry to thrive and continue, there should be some changes to let readers know if some of this some of this info to help the hobby grow and maintain. The thing, man, I'm gonna tell you. The funny thing is, I was never quite aware of the fact that I don't like dead air until you guys started bringing it up when I would do stuff like that, scrolling. No one needs to know the print run on that one, okay? That's just too much. That's too much transparency. Too much transparency. Again, I will tell you, man. I will tell you, transparency is a wonderful thing, right? Because if you're just honest and you're transparent, you never really have to worry about who you told what to when and what they remember or don't remember. Just tell it all, man. Just tell it all. And it's just super easy. It's just super easy. So Future Spec is filling in the details. He stated earlier that the artist who worked on the cover was no longer going to work with IGC anymore. And so he is now giving us the name of that artist. And again, so if you are joining late, essentially what has happened is that I received a message earlier today via DM on Instagram. And then I went digging and I tried to find some additional information to help me to understand what was basically transpiring. And what we found out is that there was a message that came out from somebody affiliated with IG Comic Store, and they kind of highlight here that they founded IGC in 2015, sold the company in 2020. They recently became aware of some things that were happening, and therefore they are no longer affiliated with that company anymore. And basically what they found out was that they were placing orders for information to be placed on a certificate of authenticity. Those numbers that were sent in were then revised by another party. So for example, with the Moon Knight book, and I'm doing the Magneto thing like I was doing the other day. With the Moon Knight book, there was an order given for 600 copies to be or the notice for the print run to be limited to 600 on the COA. That number was revised to, I think, 700 or something like that. And they cited 3 instances where something similar happened, where a certain number was supposed to go on the COA and that number was then revised upwards. And again, when you think about it, the raw copies of this Trial of Magneto book, for example, were $49.95. That's a healthy amount of money. The CGC graded copies were $139.95. Again, healthy amount of money. So again, what we did is we then looked at some of the data or the evidence that was provided. You can see here that again, this one was limited to 600, and on the website, it is actually being sold limited at 600. It sold out. But what you see here is that the number was actually changed to 700, and then the trade dress was 1,000. I don't know what the trade dress was originally, but I'm assuming that the 600 was increased to 700. And then there were other examples provided where the Marvel's issue 1 was changed to 850. I believe that number was 700. The Star Wars number was increased to 1,100, and I believe that number was 800. And again, if you guys go to igcomicstore.com, you can actually see all of this information. Well, not what I just showed you, but you can see how things were sold, what they were sold for, and you can look at the quantities that were advertised on the website. That is all publicly available. The emails that I just shared with you and the post, that all came from a private Facebook group. And I'm not a big Facebook person, but I received messages with all of that information, and I wanted to confirm the authenticity. It was indeed posted to Facebook. I read it for myself. That's what I'm actually showing you on screen right now. So there you go. Scrolling through the comments. Here you go. How do we know the number was changed? Don't see that in the evidence. Did we not just see that a second ago? I think that comment, I don't know the timing of that comment coming in versus where I shared it. But basically what we saw is one email coming out from one party saying 600, and then a second email that was screenshotted that actually shows the number was actually changed and increased to 700. And then there's a note that with the trade dress may have to order more in the future. So I don't know what the number was on the trade dress, but we do know based upon what was provided that the number was increased by at least 100. And like I said, there were a few others that were shown where, again, if you go to the website, you can see how the numbers may have changed. Is it possible it was always 700 to cover errors? So again, the way, and I think Joe, the way that it works is that you typically place an order. And as we've heard people say, the order could be as high as 3,000 copies. I don't know if it was 3,000 or lower, but it was advertised on the website as being handpicked at 600 limit. COA should have also said 600. The COA was ordered for 6 and then revised to, what did I say? I want to make sure I get it right because that's important. Was revised to 700. Was revised to 700. It looks like it sold out on the website at 600. If it was increased to 7, the website should have been updated so that there was transparency into what was actually happening. And again, I don't know why people buy comics, right? People may have bought comics because the artwork was dope, because the story was great, because they were speculating, or potentially because it was limited to a certain number. I don't know. So again, you guys will have to decide for yourselves. Is that this Regie? Is that this Regie with 1G or the other Regie that's in here with the 2Gs, Brian? I don't know which one you're talking about. I don't know which one you're talking about. But no, Berkeley Comic Con was yesterday, man. I wish I could have been there. I love that show in Cali. Absolutely love the show. It is an intimate gathering of people just hanging out, talking about comics, buying comics. There's no cosplay. There's none of that crazy stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just purely about the comics. So again, we may take up this topic a little bit later, possibly on the Wednesday show. I don't know. We'll see whether I'm still feeling frisky about this thing. Flame Brain, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. He's Jeremy's like, for the dope artwork. Again, I offer this up for the sake of transparency because I was just talking about this stuff the other day and it came to me and I felt like I had to at least acknowledge what was happening out there. So one other thing that I want to talk about real quick, and I want to try to get to two things. We'll see whether I can squeeze them in here real quick. This thing just dropped. Let me kill the sound on this before it blows up in my ear. If you guys have a chance, I recommend that you check out the Suicide Squad movie with Idris Elba. This movie is fantastic. It is fantastic. Starts off rocky. Starts off like, what is this about to be? But then it very quickly, after about 10 minutes or so, it turns into a really fantastic movie. I was thoroughly entertained. The witty banner, the little infusion of humor at various points, Idris Elba's acting, I thought was incredible. Peacemaker, John Cena, some of his scenes were fantastic. The dialogue was, I enjoyed this movie. Was there some hokey stuff? Yeah. Was there some stuff I could have done without? Yeah. Overall, I enjoyed this movie. So if you guys have a chance, check it out. I am also excited about this one because my man James Gunn is now done. He is now done with Suicide Squad, which means that we get him back at Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy is on deck, people. I am excited about that. We might actually get Adam Warlock. This thing right here, the Shark God, man, that thing is funny. And again, if you haven't seen it, I do encourage you to watch it. After the first 10 minutes or so, I think you're going to get into it. But it is definitely a fun movie. It made me want to go read some Suicide Squad comics, right? I'm going to tell you, it made me want to go read some stuff because that's how entertained I was by this show. So let me go to the chat real quick and see if you guys let me see scrolling through. I just lost my chat. Give me one second. Let me try to see if I can get this thing back. I have to share my screen one more time to regain control of things. So bear with me. All right, I think I got it back. All right, all hail Shark King, says Steve White. My man Jay, Just Pele. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. well done. I'm gonna tell you, man. To me, I think that this might be a testament of the importance of the director. You know what I'm saying? Because James Gunn is a talented guy. He really is. You look at the Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut was good. I think that this is a real testament, and it really speaks to the importance of the person that is behind the camera, that actually has a vision, that actually appreciates the intellectual property and knows how to bring it to life, and I think it was well done, Chris. I don't know what you thought, brother, but I honestly loved it. So James Gunn is coming back to DC for more movies. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. We can share. We on the Marvel side, we believe in sharing talent, right? Because again, I want all movies, whether they be Marvel, DC, I don't care, make it good, right? And if it takes James Gunn floating back and forth and being a independent contractor or whatever, sign me up for it. It was a fantastic movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Facts, facts. There is no doubt about that. I wanted to go I actually did. I actually went and tried to read the appearance, the first appearance. It was a little rough. It was a little rough. Scrolling through it also made me want to go buy some DC comics, Silver Age comics. I'm gonna be completely honest about that. Let me see. Off-White Tim, DC has had success with creator-driven projects. It's the studio getting involved all the time that just ruins it. Super JTW, he's doing Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, he is. Man, bring on Adam's Warlock. James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy. Did anybody really pay attention to Guardians of the Galaxy before James Gunn came on board? Like, I used to buy Guardians of the Galaxy back in the 90s, right? I have a run of James Gunn. I'm not a run of Guardians of the Galaxy signed by I think it was Mark Silvestri was actually working on it at the time. I read that comic like nobody's business. But even I didn't think that we were actually going to have a Guardians of the Galaxy movie that was also going to be successful. Every Guardians of the Galaxy movie has been dope. I have been entertained. I've chuckled. I mean, just good stuff. He is a talented individual. Warner Brothers needs to trust their directors more. Can I get? Amen. Just watch Robot Chicken superhero special. I don't know what that is, but if you said it's good, brother, I might need to watch it. Okay. Scrolling through. All right. So I'm all caught up with that one. Again, I'm trying to cut through some stuff, man, because I spent too much time on the first one. Let me see. Okay. Thank you, brother. 123 Ready Comics. Let me see. What does he say? Off-White Tim. James Gunn may be the best team up movie. Should we start a campaign for him to? You know, I don't know. I don't know if he could do X-Men, right? And I say that because if you think about his artistic style, it is a little on like the dry wit, humorous, quirky side. And if you think about Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, they are very similar. Very similar, kind of like slapstick, but not really. I mean, that sounds bad, but just quirky, funny stuff. I don't know if that's the right tone for the X-Men because of what the X-Men represent. I don't know if we want that in the X-Men. You know what I'm saying? Now, that could be a huge change of pace from what we've received from the X-Men, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know if people want Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy feel from the X-Men. I don't know. It's an excellent point that people smarter than I will probably debate. Somebody asked me to do movie reviews. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm qualified to do movie reviews. Let me see, scrolling again. Look at the similarities between the two movies. That shark is Drax. You just do the similarities between the movies. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Blood. What is his name? Blood. I got to look it up because I don't know what on top of my head. Bloodsport. Bloodshot. What is his name? What is the guy's name? The main guy. Somebody help me out. Is it Bloodspot? Bloodshot? Something like that. Whatever, the Idris Elba character. I enjoyed that character. That role, that character is incredibly dope. Incredibly dope. So let me see. Bloodsport. Thank you, brother. Because sometimes the names just don't come to me. So thank you for saving me for that one. I appreciate you guys. It is not Bloodshot. It's not Bloodshot. Get out of here. Bloodsport. Let me see. We got to get Doug. Let Doug do the movie reviews. All right. So the very last thing that I want to share with you guys is I did something. I jumped online to buy something, and the something that I wanted to buy sold out in probably less than a minute. And I was very disappointed. But I still decided to go ahead and get in the game. And I decided to get in the game because Marvel Comics was offering up its very first NFT, non-fungible token, NFT. And I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't fully understand it. I don't fully understand NFTs. I bought two of them. This is my second one, right? Bought two of them. This is my second, and is probably the more important one. But Marvel was offering up their very first NFTs, and they offered it up of Spider-Man, and I did not want to miss out. Spider-Man, right? Who doesn't want to get it on the ground floor? So I went in and I tried to buy one. What I wanted, I could not buy, but I ended up buying something else. And again, because even though I don't understand it, I did not want that to stop me from at least participating in something and being able to maybe learn more about it and help other people understand it. So that's like, and maybe I'll make some money. Maybe I'll make like $50, right? So this is it is the modern Marvel Series 1 Spider-Man. And this is the very first NFT from Marvel. It actually dropped yesterday. So it says here, introducing Marvel's first NFT, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This beautiful digital statue is the debut collectible in the modern Marvel series. And they actually offered up a few different versions of this thing. They had this regular pose right here when you can see the price is basically $40. It's a common thing. So they have different levels of rarity, right? And I did not know how all this was going to work, but this is a common as far as rarity. They listed the price for $40 and they offered up 32,000 of them. In my head, I was still under the impression that NFTs were a one for one, right? It is a single instance of something, but they have actually serialized it where you can now own, I guess, copies of it, which is a little interesting. Again, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this thing, but this thing was available globally, right? So they had a common for $40. 32,000 of it. They had this one right here, which is him hanging upside down for $50. 16,000 copies of this one. This is uncommon. And again, global. Here is jumping into action. This one was $100, 9,000, and it was rare. That is considered rare, at least for what they are doing here. I don't necessarily consider that rare at all, but NFTs are maybe a different world. So here's another one of him. This one's animated, and this one was $250. They offered up 2,500 of them, and this one was ultra rare. And then I think the very last one was this one, $400, 1,000 secret rare. I don't know what a secret rare is. I'm going to be honest with you, but this is the one that I wanted. This is the one that I wanted. It was animated. I was like, Spidey's going to shoot some web at me. That's going to be super dope. I logged in at the appropriate time, sold out. I don't know what happened. Sold out instantly, was not able to get the super secret rare version of this thing. I didn't get the ultra rare. That was sold out. I actually had to settle, not even for this one, because this one was sold out. The rare I actually got this one, him hanging out for $50. This is the one that I ended up buying. I don't fully understand all of this stuff, but I wanted to participate because you never know. You never know, right? This NFT thing, non-fungible tokens, does not seem like it is going away. I did not want to just poo-poo it and be the guy telling people to get off my lawn. I decided to get in, get on board, check it out. I bought this thing through the VeVe app, VeVe, VeVe app is what it's called. I downloaded it. Somebody else recommended it to me a few days ago. I downloaded it. I saw like 2 days ago that they were doing this offering. I decided to go ahead and buy one. Didn't get what I wanted, but I did participate. So secret rare, what does that mean? I don't know. It's like a true lie. I really don't know. I really don't know what that means at all. But I did it. Let me see. Scrolling through next gen collectibles. Oh, here we go. Next, if it says next gen, you must be into NFTs. He said, look at crypto punks. Look what they go for. I don't know if I have it in me to look at that, because the way that you're phrasing it makes it seem like it's a lot of money. I don't know if Flame Brain says he likes the one. I wanted him to animate. I wanted him to shoot some webbing, because I thought that'd be dope. Scrolling through, Let me see. Let me see. Man, I was wondering what was after secret. So secret, you never. Daryl, you get the award today, brother. He says so secret. You never see it. And here's the thing. I bought the thing. It said, hey, we're so busy. You might not get this for 2 hours. I was like, it's a scam. It's a scam. They just took my money, but no, it actually did show up. So are NFTs the same as original art, which means that they are DOA and thrown and filed? I don't know what that means. So I think of an NFT similar to original art. In my head, it was like if there is one instance of this thing, you can only own one piece of the art. The way that I am now starting to understand it is that you can actually have a limited number of something and offer that thing up for sale with the understanding that they're not going to make more of it. It is limited to that. So if you don't get it, then you don't get it. But then there's a secondary market in which this thing can actually be sold. That is how I'm understanding this. And you saw the quantities, Reggie, as I was going through. There was a couple of quantities that they're throwing out there. This is a little bit different from original art because with original art, you own the original art. That is it. And in my head, I was thinking that NFTs would be great for those artists that only do digital things, right? So you create a cover digitally or a page digitally. Now you turn it into an NFT. I could buy it. Now I own it the same way original art. The way that I'm starting to see this thing go is that they're creating instances or limited copies of this thing, this statue that can be sold. And again, we are trusting that they're not going to change that quantity or offer more, et cetera, et cetera. But again, if Marvel's involved, you kind of want to believe that it is true and factual. So bots are big on them. That's why they sold. And brother, I'm gonna tell you right now, that was my very first thought. My very first thought was the bots got me. Yeah, because I wanted that animated one. I really did. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Milk's like, yeah, I don't think so. Milk. I'm about to be a rich man. Okay. This thing's going to sell for $1 million. That's all I'm saying to you, brother. That's what I'm saying to you. No, I really don't know. Again, sometimes I experiment with some stuff because I want to experience them because I know that I'm going to get questions and I want to be able to answer those questions when they come in. That's part of the reason why I decided to do it because again, this is not going away. This is not going away at all. And so what is this? The artist with the NFT will get a residual every single time that it's sold. I believe it's 10%. So no matter how many times the NFT changes hands, the artist will get paid. They also charge a premium for this thing. When they actually put a note in there that for the Marvel NFTs, there is a premium that gets charged. And let me see if I can find that. It basically says here, secondary market fees, because they know, let me take this off the screen. Bear with me, bro. What they know is that these things are going to be sold and probably repeatedly. Who knows for how much? Only time will tell. With the introduction of Marvel digital collectibles on VeVe, a 6% licensor fee will be applied to Marvel sales in the secondary market with the existing VeVe 2.5 secondary market fee. The total fee for Marvel items sold in the secondary market will be 8.5%. And so what I don't know if that means that to Steve's point, I'm guessing VeVe is going to keep the 2.5 for their platform. That's their profit. They're going to make that money. And maybe the 6% that goes to Marvel, maybe some of that goes to Marvel and some of it gets passed to the creator that drew the NFT. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. Again, I am dipping my toe in the water trying to understand this stuff because I don't envision it going away. And I actually, I had a moment of regret, as I came to the realization of how this thing was working. Back when I was doing videos for Go Collect, there was a blogger that actually wrote a blog post where they were like, yes, I could see comics going digital and being sold as NFTs. And I was like, I don't think that's going to work. I like poo-poo the idea. Now I think I appreciate potentially where that blogger was coming from as I've continued to learn more. Basically what they were saying is you don't have to have one copy. You can actually create multiple copies. So theoretically, could they create a digital copy of a comic that is then sold as an NFT? Absolutely. Could that comic then be sold on a secondary market similar to how we exchange paper comics now? Absolutely. How far in the future will any of that become a possibility? I don't know. I really don't. Maybe I'm contributing to the problem by buying one. I don't know. Only time will tell. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, Joe is like Joe. Joe is like sounds like what they did with plates in the 80s. They are worth next to nothing today? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. They could be like the comics that that parents threw away back in the day because they felt like they were a waste of money. And look at them now. We don't know which way the wind is going to blow on this thing, right? I think that everybody's going to have to look at these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, and whatever light they choose to, and decide what they want to participate in. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I'll buy another. I really don't know. I don't know what the future holds for this stuff, but I think it's interesting, and I wanted to be a part of it, so I was. All right, it's a new Beanie Baby. The Tiger's in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. All right. So over the course of this last hour or so, we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about a lot of different topics. I'm not going to recap it now because I'm honestly losing my voice just a little bit here. I will encourage you guys to go back and watch the video, the live stream, if you missed something. There was a lot of ground that was covered, especially on the possible breach of trust. I would encourage you to go back and watch it if you're curious what we talked about with that portion of it. And I will, however, recap some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel because there's a lot of good content that is going to be coming out this week. We're going to do a spec video, and I've not done a speculation video in a while. In this video that's coming out this week, I'm going to talk about 3 spec comics that are not contained in Key Collector app. So it's an interesting video, I do believe, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I'm doing a video on the best 2 or some of the best money I've ever spent. I specifically spent a nice chunk of money, and I'm going to show you what it is that I bought and explain why I actually bought it in a video coming out this week. And in addition to that, getting out of comics is the 3rd pre-recorded video that will be released. We're going to do comics today on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're releasing a podcast and also a blog post this week. So a lot of really great content coming out from the channel that I hope you guys will enjoy. And if you guys haven't yet subscribed to my channel, because there's like 31% of you, and I'm looking at you right now, there is 31% of you that has yet to subscribe to the channel. I want to give you a personal invitation to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on any of the content that gets released from the channel. And I think there's some good content, at least 1 or 2 good videos a week that comes out. So I want to invite you guys to check it out because again, I think that there's some good stuff. If you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram because that is the best way to get me. And I'm stalling here because I'm actually looking for my outro because they changed the interface. If you need me, I'm not too hard to find. Take care.